All right, everybody, back with another episode of Wealth for the Culture, man. It's your boy Ali Brady once again. Got my boy Armand Banks. He is, I don't know how to. I'm gonna start like this. He is my barber, actually. I call him. I was thinking about it. He the entrepreneur barber. They got celebrity barbers, but I feel like you the entrepreneur barber. Like you got all
Um,
the entrepreneur clients around Dallas. Honestly, man, it's
yeah,
crazy. And,
yeah,
and so that's what I'm gonna label him as. He got a different side. That's the celebrity barber. He the entrepreneur money folk barber. That's what I'm gonna call him.
that's
But
solid.
he also, man, great father, dog. You ever followed him on Instagram? Man, you would think his son is like 10 years old, as cold as he got him into baseball already. And so, I like what he got going on. He don't know, but I look up to what he doing, man. He an example of what a father should be. I feel like, especially being somebody that didn't really have his pops around. So, I
Mm.
just want to bring him on, chop it up, because he doing it big with the barbershop game. And on top of that, it's just these are conversations that need to be had. Just talking about fatherhood and stuff like that, because we talk about wealth all the time, but there's other things that go into wealth besides money. So,
Hmm.
how you doing, bro? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. Solid today, man. Off day. Typically, that ain't normal for barbers to be off on a Saturday, but I don't work Saturday, so that's a blessing to be here with you.
For sure,
Chop
man.
it
You
up.
see stuff like that, man. That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah,
he an entrepreneur. He an entrepreneur, but just in
yeah,
the trade field, and that's what we're gonna get into. But just do me a favor, bro. For anybody that don't know who you are, just kind of give a little bit of your background, what you do, and stuff like that.
yeah, man. Armand Banks. I like to say I'm a part-time barber, full-time father and husband. Uh, but what I do for a living is I'm a barber. Grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, all my life. Went to college, played ball in college. Graduated college, and really didn't want to go into the degree field that I graduated in. And luckily for me, I had some sort of a trade. I had a skill of cutting hair, and really what prompted it. I knew I didn't want to. It sounds so cliche, bro, but I knew I didn't want to just work for nobody, bro. And what's crazy is with barbering, I fired just having one boss, and I ended up having 150 bosses. You know what I'm saying? Like just different clients. So instead of me working for just one person, now I work for everybody, which is a beautiful thing that I'm looking at on the back end now. You know what I mean? Been in barbering since I was 12. My uncle, he was cutting hair in his bathroom, and I walked in and he was like, "Man, you want to try?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he let me cut his hair, and he handed me $5, and he was like, "Every time you come over, now you my barber." And bro, ever since then, I haven't put the clippers down. I haven't put the clippers down. So
That's what's
it's
up.
been a blessing, man. It's afforded me a really, really great life.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. That's crazy. You started at 12, dang, bro. And, and,
Yeah,
and just for everybody like perspective, like you a whole grown man now, still doing it, still got
yeah,
your own. You make your own schedule, you got your own time. And one thing you mentioned that you was a part time barber and a full time father, and stuff like that. That give me is like a lot of people think you can't do other stuff when you're in this entrepreneurship game, especially when you got a trade, because you essentially
hmm
providing a service. Specifically, you providing service people, so
hmm
that's time you got to give. So I think
hmm
that's dope that you, especially you ain't never seen no barber that ain't working on a Saturday. That's wild just to think about. So that type of stuff right there is something that people need to pay attention to. So
yeah.
you mentioned that you got your start at 12, but like, did you go like barber school or anything like that?
I did. I went to barber school after college. So when I was trying to figure out what the next step was post college, I sat down. She was my girlfriend at the time, but my wife, and I was like, man, I really don't know what I want to, how I'm supposed to do it. Like, am I supposed to, do an apprenticeship? Because that's an option for barbers. You can go study up under somebody, or you can go to school. And I ended up going to, the school back in Kansas City, which is where my university that I played ball at was at. And I went to school there, and that school was being ran really shady. You know what I mean? Like, so in barber school, you're supposed to go to school and you're supposed to have theory, meaning class work, and then you're supposed to have on the floor work, which is cutting hair. But this school, they didn't have no class work, bro. Like, they was just having people cut hair, and it was ran just like a straight up barbershop. And you got to think, if I'm just cutting hair all day and the school is the only people that's making money, Like, yeah, I'm
Oh
learning, I'm
damn,
getting
that's a
better.
hustle.
That's it, bro. It was a hustle, bro. And that school is no longer around. But one of the instructors at that school, he was moving into his own realm as an entrepreneur. And he was, stepping out on faith. And he was like, man, I'm opening up a school, bro. Like, I see how y'all getting treated here. He wasn't really doing it. He wasn't pulling the feet from up under the rug from the other owner, but he handpicked, a select few people that he knew that could really do well in the industry. And he was like, man, the door is open if you ever want to make a change. It's up to you. I ain't saying you got to come. I ain't saying you should come, but just check me out. And bro, I went over there and I felt bad, not in a sense because, I left somewhere where I started, but it was almost like, yo, I know I'm not going to be able to pass the test if I stay at this school. You know what I mean? And I went to the other school, bro. I didn't touch a head at the other school for like 3 months. So it was like, yo, no, you're going to learn this book work. You're going to learn this theory. You're going to learn everything that you need to do to be able to pass the test. The haircut, and that's going to come with time. And they understood that. So that was it was just taking a chance. And,
All right, I didn't know this. So hold on, y'all take like a whole. It's not just cutting. It's okay, bro. Forget this. Break down kind of what people got to go through, like, because there's a lot of people
yeah,
coming out here being barbers now, because it's not traditional no more for you to see the $15, $20 haircuts that we used to see
right,
back when we was growing up. Like people out here,
right.
like you charge like what 56, I think, like something like that.
Yep.
Like, and it ain't nothing. Like I personally don't care, but a lot of people say it's crazy now. But
hmm
as you look around, more and more people charging some like high dollar amounts of making a good,
And,
like this is a full time career.
and we can get into like the high dollar amount after we understand like school, right? So with school, most states require at least 1,500 hours of school hours, right? So with those 1,500 hours, a certain number of hours is broken down in haircutting technique. A certain number of hours is broken down in um, theoretical practices on color. A certain number of hours is broken down on sanitation. A certain number of hours is broken down on shop management. A certain number of hours is broken down on customer service. You know what I mean? So in totality, it's 1,500 hours. And if a school that's really doing it right, a barber can come out of barber school being really, really well rounded in the industry. You know what I mean? Just based on theory, not experience, but theory. All right. And a lot of times schools really don't do it the right way. They do it in a way that allows them to keep the lights on because uh, the generating factor for their income is the people who come in and pay $7 for a haircut. Now, it's not to knock schools. I just think schools should have a, a, a really concrete way of how they teach students all across the board. Because the school in Texas might not have the same standards of running and operating a barber school as the school in Kansas or Missouri or New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's why you have different barbers all across the board. There's really no set. Now we all take the same test. We're just not all taught the same way, if that makes sense.
I
You know
got you.
what I
I got
mean?
you.
You've probably been on a plane and you was like, well, this mug fly just like the last plane. Well, because the FAA is, federally regulated that all pilots fly, the same way.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
not the same for barbers. You know what I mean? It's very, very different.
So it's kind of like football. Everybody got their own teams, but y'all all trying to do the same thing and win. Like, oh,
100%.
okay, I got you. And so, do you
100%.
look like what's the like cost? I guess to like how much you got to pay? I'm sure barber school costs money.
Yeah, barber school costs money. Is different. So there's accredited barber schools and there are unaccredited barber schools. So
Oh, okay.
accredited barber schools are barber schools that pretty much pay a fee and they go and they are regulated by the state. And the only difference between accreditation and unaccredited is the state regulates their curriculum on a weekly or monthly basis, saying, "Hey, are you teaching what you say you're going to teach? If so, we'll allow you to get federal funds for students that come to the school." So an accredited barber school is going to cost anywhere from $10,000 upwards to $30,000. An unaccredited barber school, they don't get the federal funding. So they're going to be cheaper because they know people have to pay out of pocket. Does that make sense? So if
Yeah.
people have to pay out of pocket, it's going to be anywhere from, $3 to $4 to $5,000. You know what I'm saying? And some have even gone up to $10,000 as well, just inflation, right? But I went at the time. It was an unaccredited barber school, but when I came out, it felt like I got an accredited education just because the school was really ran right.
Okay. No, that's I didn't even know it cost that much. You said 10 or 30,000. I was like, dang,
Yeah, bro,
for a
that's a
semester in
normal thing.
college.
Yeah,
Oh, dang, I
hey,
see.
yeah, yeah, that's a normal thing. But then if you think about it though, uh, you got to think about the upside of the career of barbers if they do it right.
Okay, let's
So
talk
it's
about
like,
that, man. Like,
yeah,
what's the potential for somebody to see what you're? Because I got a lot of people that like, especially a lot of black people listen to this. What's the potential? Like, people like, what kind of money can you see from this? And I speak on that.
the man, look, so the amount of money that you can see, and I'm gonna give a concrete number just based on money that I've made and money that I've been around when it comes to barbers, right? I've seen upwards of $250,000 from a barber making money. You know what I'm saying? Just a barber. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm cutting hair, kind of like what I'm doing in a suite, and I'm cutting hair. Also, that barber is selling products. That barber might be giving classes. That barber might be doing consultations. You know what I mean? So on the high end, just based on trading your time for money as a barber, bruh, upwards 250 plus. I've seen even more. On the low end, think about it from a barber that's only charging $10, $15, and he, is working at a barber shop that's ran like kind of like a assembly line. You know what I mean? And he comes
Yeah,
in and next, you remember back in the day, next,
yeah,
next, and I've seen barbers make $1,000 a week. You know what I'm saying? And even on the lower end, $500 a week. So it just depends. I think the the difference between the two is education. So once barbers graduate barber school, you can't stop your education. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a barber that just went to barber school and you're done and all you want to do is cut hair, that's cool. You're gonna be on the low end of earning potential. You know,
yeah,
you're gonna be on the $30,000 a year. You're gonna be on the $40,000 a year barber potential, right? If you want to be on the high end, yo, that means you got to go take classes with barbers who are doing the things that you want to do. So with me, when I graduated college, and when I graduated barber school, I knew I didn't want to just work in the shop all day and just be cutting back to back to back to back to back. I knew that there was like other barbers who were out here who had like a really professional environment and who had really a healthy work life balance, right? So, and I attribute it's a dude named Todd Bernard in New York City. He had this thing called the I Cut Pro Exchange Program, and his exchange program was $3,000 for 2 days. $3,000. I come up there for 2 days and he teaches me his whole system. Right. So in that moment, my wife, we had ended up moving to Texas and I had stopped cutting for a second. I was cutting on campus because my wife had ended up finding a job on campus. Right. Uh, so I'm like, all right, because that's when I lived in Commerce, Texas. You've been to Commerce, Texas before. I ain't nothing in
yeah,
Commerce, Texas.
yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I really want to take this class because when we move to Dallas, this is the practices that I want to implement. And she was like, all right, how much is it? And I was like, it's 3,500. And she was like, all right, we're just going, ask them, can you do a payment plan? So I couldn't take the class until I paid off the class with him. But I was giving him $500 a month. You know what I'm saying? $500 a month. Every time I would get an extra $500 and he was working with me. And once I paid it off, I ended up booking my flight ticket and I took that class, bro. And it changed my life. It changed my whole perspective on one what I knew as a barber, and then what I knew that I could know as a barber. And what's crazy is he had a mentor, and it's a guy named Morano Hodge. So the guy that taught Ty Bernard, not necessarily taught him. It was kind of like Morano Hodge poured into Ty, and you know, I'm like, oh snap, okay, if that's who you learned from in a sense, let me go or learn with. Let me go holler at him. And he had a class, and it's called Advanced Barber System. 2 days. He was like, "Yeah, man, mine is 5,000. Say no more." Hey, I looked at my wife and I was like, "Can we make this happen?" And she was like, "Man, look now." And I was like, "Look, it's gonna
Yeah.
benefit us in the long run. Just trust me, though." You know what I mean? And bro, just stack my. He wasn't really doing with the payment plans. He wanted his up front. So I ended up stacking my bread, stacking my bread, stacking my bread. And I was like, yo, I got enough to take this class. Like, what's up? And we set up a date, and I went up there, and I really learned a lot. With Todd, I learned marketing strategy, business implementation, customer service, shop environment. With Morano, I learned a lot of the clinical side, meaning like a lot of the stuff that deals with hair and the skin, which is called trichology. I learned a lot that I learned a lot of innovation with my clippers and my techniques, and
Okay.
how to set my shop up, things that sort, to where it looks different from normal barbershops. So in all, bro, I think I paid about $10,000 just after barber school in education. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
that, in a sense, allowed me to get to the point to where I'm at, in Dallas.
All right. So let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
How? Because y'all don't know, Armand, he cut with this guy named Watts, and they got
Mm-hmm.
like a shop. I guess it's like a suite, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like in this area over by the Galleria in Dallas. And I always went because I don't see that. Like everywhere I ever been to, it's been like a full out barbershop. And these mothers got their own. I remember I pulled up, like they got their own like private little area. Like that's crazy. How did that
Yeah.
come about? How did y'all link up? How did y'all get y'all like? How did y'all go into the fact that y'all got y'all's own suite,
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah. So I was in that suite before. So when I came to Dallas, once my wife got done with school in commerce, we moved to Dallas, and I needed to find a suite. And I was like, all right, I don't want to go into a traditional barbershop because what I know is not going to work well with a traditional barbershop environment. So I mean, I have to create my own environment. And thank God that salon suites or barber suites are a thing now. And bro, what I did was I just put myself in the environment, and I was like, all right, step out on faith. I really don't know if I could run this thing the right way, but typically as a barber, you used to just paying booth rent. But with a salon suite, it's set up the same way. You just get to run your room the way you want to run it. So if a you know once I stepped into that realm, Demetrius, who also took a class with the Todd guy, he was moving to Dallas, and he was like, "Yo, let's link up." And I was like, "Say no more, bro. Let's we could just if we can jump into something together, it'd be cool. But if you need to go into a shop, bro, I can help you find different shops around the location. You know what I mean?" And bro, it was just beneficial for us to just jump into something together. But it was beautiful because we were like minded. So if he was a barber that really didn't understand advanced education after barber school, we wouldn't click. You know what I mean? So he
Yeah,
had kind of like a like mind of like, yo, no, I want to give my clients the best experience. I want to give my clients the best service. I want to give my clients, everything that they deserve. And it was like, me too. Let's do it. So we really clicked well, bro. We similar backgrounds, similar, cutting backgrounds, cutting in college, went to school, played ball, and all that type of stuff. And bro, it's just the perfect environment. But it it allows you to control your room. You know what I mean? And a lot of times barbers don't really have the opportunity to do that because they're in a barbershop full of 10 people. The only thing that they can control is their station, but their clients are walking into an environment that they have no say so over. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's the difference between a suite and a barbershop.
So we gotta pack some stuff. First thing, I need everybody to understand. For one, the man bet on himself because like that ain't cheap. What you talking about? You talk about you can go to barber school. That's cost money, 4 figures. But you also backdoored and went to get mentorship from two different people. That's
Mm-hmm.
totaling right at 10 G's. So
Mm-hmm.
that to me, can you just kind of talk about what 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 was the thought process going through that? Like you betting on yourself and stuff like that. Also, just the ability because you said that's kind of how you linked up with Watts.
Mm-hmm.
What all did that environment I guess take for you? Betting on yourself, the opportunities with networking. What all did that provide for you?
Bro, it provided for me a lot, and it provided for me a sense of comfort knowing that it could be done. You know what I mean? Like, especially coming from an environment not seeing it being done, so it's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, well, he did it. And to be honest with you, a lot of the people who that I learned from, they aren't even from the city that they were in. So it was like, yo, you're not even from here, and you killing it here in this place that you didn't grow up in. Oh, I know I can go here being a transplant in Dallas, like, and bet on myself and, you know, make a way. Don't get me wrong. Now, here's the thing. This is the thing that most people don't tell you. while I was transitioning from Commerce to Dallas, Texas, I was working as an academic advisor on campus. So 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., I'm working as an academic advisor. From 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., I drive to Dallas and I cut hair. When I came to Dallas, my prices started off high, and that's where they stayed. But the job that I had allowed me to say, no, I'm not going to cut your hair for less. No, I'm not going to cut your hair for less. No, I'm not going to cut your hair. If you want to get in this job, if you want to get in my chair, it's going to cost this much money. But my job allowed me to have that confidence to say no to a lot of people, because a lot of people would hit me up and they were like, yo, I want to come, but your price is a little bit too high. And them saying that is kind of saying like, can you do it for cheaper? But
Yeah.
my job allowed me to tell them no. You know what I'm saying? So I was really working my job. That gave me confidence to be able to jump out on that phase because I had that safety net. And once I got to the point to where what I was making in the evening was what I was making at my job for like 2 or 3 months consistently, that's when I knew I could let go of my job and jump into barbering, back into barbering at least full time.
Okay. And yeah, that's wild right there. Because a lot of people ain't gonna do that, man. For one, salute to you, bro. Because a lot of people ain't gonna. People don't understand that you still usually have a day job before you get going on the entrepreneurship journey, and that you're gonna have to sacrifice something.
Yep.
And in your instance, it was you work until 5 o'clock, and then you go and do 5 to 11 every day cutting
Yep.
heads. Ain't
Yep.
nobody. People gotta say you gotta be consistent because that for one takes some consistency on top of the fact that you was willing to invest in yourself and put some money down to like hone in on your skill or your craft, man. Like people, I think they get caught up in trying to make money all these different ways they see on Twitter and Instagram and all this, and don't realize there's a bunch of like trades out here that
Mm-hmm.
not just from a trade perspective, but you don't turn this into like a full fledged business operation. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what people kind of miss out on. They think that like, oh, I'm too good for this. I'm too good to learn like anything. But most of the stuff is about learning skills, man. That's gonna pay
Man,
you over and over for a lifetime. You got a skill, and can't nobody take that away from you.
skills pay the bills, bro. Like a lot of people think, uh, oh, okay, like I know the theory behind something. I should be able to get paid for my knowledge. Nah, skills is what pays. You know what I'm saying? And if you got a skill, it don't matter what it is. If you know how to do something that somebody don't know how to do, or not, or you know how to do something that somebody's not willing to do, you can get paid for that. You can monetize that. You know what I mean? So it's like, bro, like most people don't know how to cut their own hair, or most people aren't willing to cut their own hair. The only time I'll ever be out of a job is when everybody can cut their own head and somebody else's. Until then, I'll always be able to go anywhere in this world and make $1 or a living. You know what I'm saying?
No, oh man, fuck! I lost my train of thought. I want to talk about because all right, the way they got they set up is to me. People will say, "Oh, it might be expensive or whatever." Really, it's not even that bad. But creating an experience is what they do. That's what I don't I like to say. When you go in there, that's like a whole experience set up. Like you gonna get your hair washed. You gonna like I'm offer different types of services on top of just cutting
Mm-hmm.
heads that people can take advantage of. He done put a whole system in place, and I'm glad he got the system in place because I'll be forgetting myself to schedule because I'll be thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go every 2 weeks, and then I look up and this man be booked out, and then I gotta hit him up and be like, hey, you got something open? So
Yeah.
he got systems in place. He created an experience. For one, you don't really have too many barbershops you go in where they're gonna wash your hair and stuff like that and actually take care of you. And you still get in my opinion, you still get the barbershop feel. I can go up there. We had conversations about money. We had conversations about rap, like regular stuff you talk about in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, though, the man knows people that like it's crazy because me personally being on this in this space now, seeing different entrepreneurs in Dallas, finding out he cut their heads, he willing to put me on. This is another opportunity for networking. If I come
Mm-hmm.
across something, I could tell him about it. Maybe he want to jump in and make some money, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I just want to say, they create and they've got it down pat where they create a whole experience for you when you step
Mm-hmm.
in their shop. They got
I,
the service on point, man.
I tell people all the time that people don't pay for the haircut. The haircut is just like icing on the cake, right?
Yeah.
You pay me to do the things that other barbers won't do, right? So something simple as setting an appointment. a person like yourself, your time is really valuable. You know what I mean? And if I'm a barber, no matter how good I am, you don't want to wait an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for me. It just is what it is. Like, I got to go to work. I got to go get this money. I got to go learn something. It don't matter what it is. Your time is valuable. So the number one thing that I pride myself on is respecting people's time. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I hate to, like, it's not even a toot my own horn, but I have a question. Am I late? Like,
Oh no,
could you put that, could you put that label, like, man, he be late, like, on me?
yeah, nah,
You
hell
know what
no.
I'm saying?
I
So it's
like
like,
the
imagine.
system you got in place, man. That make it easy for me. I just know, like, hey, I can just head up there real quick, in and
Yeah,
out.
yeah. The second thing is, convenience. So it's like, yo, I ain't gotta really exchange money. I ain't gotta put my card out. I can book online. It's similar to like booking a plane ticket. You know what I mean? Like, we
Yeah,
ain't even got to even converse about price. We ain't got to converse about anything but what I want to talk about when I get in the chair. So when you walk in, the chair is open. Then we take you to the shampoo bowl. We wash your hair, make sure we get all the oils or anything that stuff out your hair. And bro, we give you, an environment that's pleasing, right? So it's like, you ain't got kids running around. You ain't got nobody in there trying to sell anything. Not saying that that's a bad environment, but it's typically not the environment that the people who I like to cut hair for, they don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, you don't got unwanted smells. It don't smell like, neither one of us, coming to the shop smell like weed or nothing like that. Not saying weed's a bad thing. I'm just saying that in a place of professionalism, it might not be the best look, right?
yeah,
Uh, I still haven't got to the haircut yet. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So
You
it's
done did
like,
all this stuff. Yeah,
yeah. And it's like, oh man, I really came here to get a haircut, but it's like you get this, and this along with it. So
hmm
that's the beneficial part of us, one, being in a suite together, and then being around a like-minded person like Demetrius, to be able to grow with and cater to, like you say, the entrepreneur type of clientele. Like, our network is crazy. The network is crazy. Now that I'm really thinking about it.
and yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, because a lot of people I end up talking about, you like, oh yeah, I cut the hair. I'm like, oh damn, okay then. And it's crazy because I think what's important in all of this is a lot of people when they start something, they worry about pricing because that's how you gonna eat. And
Yep.
you said that you set your price, and you was firm on that, and you stood on that. Like a lot of
Yep.
people, they would have got hit up by all these different people, like, oh, your price too high. They would have dropped it, like, all right, cool, I just do it $20 a head instead of
Mm-hmm.
the 50, 60, or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
and some people, they charge even more. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a fact that when you charge a certain price, and I learned this because I let the credit repair go recently, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like when you accepting a certain price, I don't think people understand when you have a low price, you get low clientele. I don't mean to say like they bad, like it's just people you don't want
No.
to deal with.
let,
It's
let's
headaches.
let's just say it. Let's just say it like it is, right? And it is what the type of money people make really kind of dictates their personality in a sense. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? And it's like, if I'm charging $20, a person really don't value $20 that much. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. I hate to say it. Now, you might be poor, and you might not poor, but you might be broke, and you might not have money, so you might value that dub. But the average working person, they probably really don't value $20 like they would do $60. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So if I'm charging you only $20, you might show up late. You might come in and not really care about your appearance. You might uh, 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 bring unwanted vibes, all because you only paying $20.
yeah,
You're paying $20. But if you're paying $60, there's a certain level of expectation. You know what I mean? There's an expectation that you have about your man. I'm going in, I'm dropping hard earned money. It's different from 20 to 60. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Most people don't make $60 an hour.
I
So
ain't
it's
think
like,
about it like that.
yeah, most people don't even make $60 an hour. So here I am going to go transfer what I don't make in an hour to the barber. My expectations is higher. And then with my price point, it puts me, then you also got to think, for me, if I'm saying, hey, I'm charging this much for haircuts, that excludes the people who aren't willing to pay. And then that opens the door for the people saying, I'm only looking for the $60 barber.
Yep.
You
And
know
you're
what I'm
gonna get
saying?
that
Like,
experience that's worth the price point itself. So for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, it's 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 a gift and a curse because the hard part with that is it's going to take longer to build that clientele. So the higher you go in price point, the narrow your market becomes because it's like I'm looking for a specific person. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
that's what the Ty Bernard had taught me. He was like, "Yo, you don't want to cut everybody. You want to cut this one person." He broke it down based on age, education level, income. Bro, it's crazy how you fit the funnel of what my ideal clientele looks like. You personally, as I, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy
Yeah.
how you fit based on age, education, income. I don't even know what you make a year, but I can assume that you fit the market. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also responsibility to yourself and then to your employment, and then dreams, meaning like what you aspire to be in life. You don't, bro, like I don't want to cut nobody who wants to be the same person last year, the next year.
Yeah, for sure.
You,
Yeah,
you know
I
what I'm
didn't even think
saying?
about it like that, honestly. And it's crazy because also though, you ain't gotta cut it's the same, it's like Russell, you ain't gotta cut nearly as many heads. You just need
Mm-mm.
your certain client base and that's
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So like you go charge, 15 for kid or 10 for a kid, 20 for an adult. Then you have the back
Mm-hmm.
door and you gotta do 3 times as many heads just to get what you would normally get.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't even worth
And
it.
then
And that's way more time.
and it's way and it takes you away from the stuff that you really want to do, like family and traveling and all that type of stuff because you stuck behind a chair.
Yeah, so actually, let's get into that because my man is a
Mm-hmm.
father too, and how is that for you, man? Like I don't know, I didn't personally like my pops wasn't around growing up, so every time I get a child, just hear you and see your story and stuff like that, just with your son and stuff, and just every like it ain't like let me tell you like you got people that they'll start stuff fall off whatever like nah this man is like like it's just like an embodiment of consistency and the fatherhood realm per se that it's just like man it's like unmatched to me like and it's I can say that because I never got to truly experience it so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you did but you
Nah, bro, my
know
dad. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't meet my dad until I was 16. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah
just wasn't around, right? Um, and when I think about it, it's like, well, would you rather had your dad, who he is today, knowing him, or would you
mhm,
had rather had no dad? And it's crazy. If I did have a father, that would have been my standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. Because when the standard ain't set, it's searched. So because I have to search for a standard, I get to create my standard. And
yeah
I'm creating my standard based off of what I didn't have. So it's like, man, if I would, it, well, I'm gonna give everything that I wish I had. So now when my son came along, it's like, yo, I don't know if this is the right way, but it's the way that I want to do it. And hopefully it turns out right. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of presence. It's a lot of providing. It's a lot of just intention and attention. So that's really what I'm about as a father, just being intentional and paying a lot of attention. You know?
Yeah, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I don't know where he gonna play at, but hey, your kid gonna be somewhere, somewhere pro. And it's crazy because his kid, it ain't even just like okay, because it's a lot of like, oh, all we ever do is talk about sports, but not like your kid talking. I'm looking at your kid over here like counting numbers in Spanish and English. I'm like, what? I'm like, dang, like just getting
Yeah.
started early. How old is your son, bro?
He just turned 2.
And I was honest, bro. I remember when he told me this. I'm like, damn, bro. Like I thought your kid was at least like 5 years old. And it's crazy because he
Nah,
just
bro, he just turned 2.
instilling. He just like you can talk about this better than me because I ain't got no kids. Like just
Yeah,
kind of talk
no,
about fatherhood and like how it is, like trying to work because kids are tough to work with. I mean, but yours
yeah,
seems, you
yeah,
know,
no. So I'm gonna be honest with you. We go through everything that anybody else goes through with their kids, and kids they're difficult because after a certain point of them just being dependent, they create
mhm.
this sense of autonomy, meaning like I want to do it my way. You know what I mean? And we've kind of gotten out of that realm and gotten to the realm of like, okay, we're going to just do it our way, meaning like as parents and as the kids. So he understands the process. He understands um, what it is that he has a lot of structure. Does that make sense? But then
Yeah.
within that structure, he has a lot of freedom. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we got him in the house cooped up, just reading him numbers all day, or making sure he reads every day, or taking him to the batting cages all day, or nothing like that. Don't get me wrong, and this is my theory behind this, right? And I want your opinion on it. Yes, we prioritize him to swing the bat consistently. We prioritize him to go out and catch the baseball consistently. We prioritize him to read his letters and recite his numbers and learn money and learn all these different things, right? What is the difference between that and prioritizing a kid eating his food? What is the difference between that and
Yeah.
prioritizing a kid taking a bath? What is the difference between that and prioritizing a kid wearing clothes? What is the difference between that and prioritizing a kid go to school or daycare? You know what I'm saying? It's no difference. And exchange the word prioritize for force. We force our kids to do everything, but then when it comes to things that are against the norm, which is like for normal kids at that age, it's like, well, don't force them, let them be kids. And it's like, well, I mean, when you have a kid, you really don't know who you're raising. So if you aren't setting some type of standard for them, you'll just let them kind of blossom to become anything that the world kind of structures them to become. It's like, nah, hey, son, you see that over there? That's your goal. Go reach it. For me, I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody saying, hey, son, you see that over there? That's your goal. Go reach it. Go grab that. So me, it was like, even before college, it was like, man, I really kind of don't know where I want to go. Even after college, that's how I kind of fell into Barber. I really don't know what I want to do. And even now, as a parent, it's like, well, I'm stuck between the spot of knowing I'm not doing enough, but also not knowing what next step I want to take it to within the barbering industry. You know what I'm saying? Because there was no standard of, hey, that's where you're supposed to go. You know what I'm saying? So for me as a parent, it's the only thing that I had to achieve was being better than the last guy. And I've surpassed that. I didn't have the standard of being set saying, now you got to go do this. So I'm finding that right now. You know what I mean?
No,
And it's, go ahead.
no, that's a good. It's crazy because we can speak cover because we know what. That's how I operate. Like I know what I didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like even with my little sister, it's like I was my grandma raised me for the most part, so I got to high school, bro. So it's like I
Uh-huh.
try to tell my mom like I figured it out, but just because I was fortunate enough to figure it out, and it took
Yeah.
a long ass time to figure that out. It's not
Yeah.
like I would just going through. You just see what you might see what your parent went through, your mom, your dad, or whoever. You see what they go through, and you could just like in your head be like, I know what I don't know what I want. I just know I don't want that.
I just know I
And
don't
for
want that.
me, that's how it was. It was like you see your mom, doing 2, 3 jobs coming up, and then you
Mm-hmm.
at your grandma's all the time. So it's like I don't know what I want to do, and that's kind of why
Mm-hmm.
I think I attribute that to why I want to do entrepreneurship. To like why I go so hard for it because like
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to be involved in when I do have a kid, so I want to be involved in their life. I want to be there because
Yep.
you realize what the struggle was of it, like not being there present for you. And that's what I
Yeah.
be telling people. Like, I don't need to have a kid to understand certain things or what it would take to be a good parent because I seen what it was like, not having
Not having
the ultimate
yeah.
experience of that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people try to tell you like, oh no 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 no, like you don't know because you like I'm like bro, like I literally was like had to figure out majority of this, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
taking nothing away from my mom and nothing like that. Like
Yeah.
I get it, you got to do what you got to do when you put in certain situations.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
not taking nothing away from my dad because I always tell people like you never know how it is with your parents until you get older. You start to look from the
Bro.
outside looking in. That's something that people don't understand either. It may
Bro.
not just be, yeah, what's up?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking just based on like just the situation currently now with my dad, right? I, and this happened like a year ago, but it's like I found the grace to understand you didn't know neither. You didn't know. You were still trying to figure it out. My mom, I found the grace to understand, like, oh, you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And you really, like you said, you learning this now prior to yourself as a parent. So you're gonna have a lot of grace for yourself saying, like, hey, I'm figuring it out. but I'm gonna do my damnedest to
and,
make it work.
and that's all that matters. And I think people got to understand, this is about wealth, but this is something. This is like your mental wealth, man. So I think people got to understand, because I had to understand, like, and my dad, he passed away, so like I didn't really get to. That's why I tell everybody, like, you gotta accept what happened and kind of just like not live in that past. And if
Right.
somebody trying in the now to make things better, what's the worst that can happen for you giving them a chance to make some type of impact? Because you never know what could come of that. So I always tell
Somebody asks,
people,
ain't this about wealth?
no, I'm just no, I'm just saying, like, I talk, man, this is about wealth, but I talk about all kinds of wealth, man. I've
Yeah,
had
bro,
mental
this
health
is tremendous
episodes.
wealth. Because think
Yeah.
about it this way: as a man, right? As a man, I tell people all the time, nothing portrays the results of a man's leadership like his family does. Your family is the first business that you'll really run. You might have all these, businesses that you're running with, the rental car and maybe stocks or maybe rental properties. But your first business that you're really about to run is your family. And
Oh, that's
nothing
cold.
portrays the
I ain't think
results
about
of your leadership like your family. So if you look at a man's family and you see his kid as a delinquent, but he was there, or if you look at a man's family and you see his daughter is out here, she might be being promiscuous, but he was there. I have to question not necessarily the kid. I have to question the man. That's wealth. You know what I'm
that.
saying? If my
No, I ain't even.
family
I'm
has,
glad you mentioned that like that. I never thought about your family. All right, dang. All right, that's a bar
yeah,
right there. I ain't think about that at
yeah,
all.
yeah. So, bro, that's wealth, bro. If I have a healthy family, I have a wealthy family. You know what I mean? Because that's one less thing now that I got to worry about because I set the structure up and I
Yep.
set the standard. So now I can really go out here and go get the bag, and I could take them with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that, bro, yeah, it's so much that goes into wealth, bro. It's
And,
so much.
and that's why and that's why I did this podcast, because it's like it wasn't. I think back to it now, and it's almost selfish because it was just stuff that I didn't know, and I was like, well, let me see what else I don't know,
Mm,
and it just turned into me bringing on people that could just kind of express the game that they got, but also me, I could chop it up with them and get questions answered, but also be
hmm
able to like just have a regular conversation, bro. That's all these are.
Yeah.
And just to be able to like, I would have never thought about it like like your family is like a business. Like you don't like people don't it's perspective that you get from
hmm
people, and like that's
hmm
what I like doing this for, and to be able to hear other people's perspectives, like you, I could chop it up with you, bro. Like we had debates all the time with some random stuff you might post, and I
Yeah.
just and it's cool because you don't come across, especially with like I hate it because especially with black people, you don't come across people that's just like they open to like have a back and forth, and it don't
hmm
be no like F you or no, like it don't be nothing like bad about it. It's just not. We just having a conversation, bro.
We're having
And
a
you might
conversation.
get a whole new outlook on something just off of how I look at this situation. So
Bruh,
that's why I encourage
you've
people.
taught me stuff. You've taught me stuff just based on how you think. You know what I mean? It's like, oh snap. Like, and if I was a really close-minded individual, I probably wouldn't have even accepted the thought process. So I'm grateful for you in that sense. You know what I
But
mean? Like,
but this goes to this even goes back to you having certain type of people you have for clients, because
yes,
now you are exposed to just a up. I don't want to say the $20 person is a bad person necessarily, but it ain't the 60, 70, 100, whatever client. And so
right.
now, when you're dealing with them type of people, you elevate your mindset, they elevate their mindset, and it's just
hmm
iron sharpens iron.
I,
And
I, I
so,
I attribute it to like a stadium, right? You ever been inside of let's say like just a regular dome stadium, right?
yeah,
Let's say it's like a football game. There's a different type of person that's sitting close to that 50-yard line down at the bottom. And then there's a certain type of person that's sitting up in the nosebleeds. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that the nosebleed person is a worse off person in
mm,
life than the 50-yard line person, but you just know that that 50-yard line person values something in regards to where their money goes when it comes to this event. You know what I'm saying? And for barbering, it's like, yo, that $20 person, he values something. It's just not his haircut.
yeah,
At the end of the day, it's just not his haircut. Or it's not the type of barber that he put himself around. Or it's not the type of network his barber might have. That $50 person, he's not just paying for a haircut. He's paying for, like you said, experience, customer service, cleanliness, sanitation. Those are things you just don't have to worry about when you come to where I'm coming at. You ain't got to worry about, man, is this clip is clean today? Am I going to bump up? Am I going to get cut? You know what I mean? Those are things is he going to be late? Is he going to show up on time? You know? Versus the $20 person, he has all of those worries in his head, all because of the price point. Or he might not even have them in his head, but I can guarantee you that there's a complaint between the $20 client and the $20 charging bar. There's going to always be a complaint. There's going to always be friction. And typically, a lot of the times, that friction is going to come at the barber's behest because they're going to work themselves to the point to where they feel so burnt out to where they don't even value the $20 client no more. So they won't take care of them in the way that the $20 client expects. Because it's like, man, I'm only charging $20.
I'm glad you're hitting on this because this really apply to everything, and that's why, like I tell you, like I had to you gotta let certain some stuff you just gotta let go because it ain't even either you gonna rate when you do a lot of stuff like I do a whole bunch of I try a whole bunch of shit, you know that, and when you start trying out stuff, you realize you're gonna put certain price points on it, but now after talking to you, it's like some of these price points ain't worth for one the headache that it's gonna put you into. Because one thing I've come to learn that's crazy is the person that's willing to drop that high ticket on something, just drop the normal, more than the standard price for whatever they're getting. They be the easier people to deal with compared to somebody that's getting the low ball price, the discount
100%.
price. They're gonna give you the biggest headache, and it's just like you run into a situation of like you might have to be chasing somebody down. Going above and beyond to means it's like you're not even paying a price point that's even worth what all I'm jumping through hoops for you, and it's still not enough. That's what people gotta understand. It's like this could be applied to anything you're doing. I don't care if you cutting heads, doing working a 9 to 5, whatever. Like whatever
it
doing.
is. Yeah, if you underpaid, if you're underpaid and overworked, the quality of the product is going to diminish.
And your quality of life. Like
quality of life.
Don't take like the man says he's a part-time barber. Like that's his job. That's what he does.
Yeah,
but he's a part-time barber. He's full-time family man. And now people have said like that work-life balance means something. And I'm working towards that right now. Like I still gotta figure it out. But that really is something that's like it might be more important than the bread, low key. Like people don't understand. Like it's just something about being somewhere that you don't want to be a ridiculous amount of hours, especially when you're working like a 9 to 5. Like, don't get me wrong, 9 to 5, I ain't got nothing against it. I work my night. I'm second shift, and I do it. It is fine, and then I do my other stuff outside of that.
I thought to myself, I said, I want a 9 to 5. I want a 9 to 5. I want to get back into the 9 to 5 plan. Like last night, I was sitting up with my wife, and I was you got to hear me. You got to hear me out. You got to hear me out because it's like I got certain parts of me, bro. Like I have to feel that again to remind myself of where not to be. You know what I mean? Like when I go home to St. Louis, sometimes it's like it ain't really to go see family. It's to feel the city again to remind myself, hey, it could be worse. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to really humble yourself in those moments.
And that's the thing. Like that's one of my things. Like I always tell myself, like it could be worse. Like that's something. I don't like. I like to like. I used to be a real negative human being, and I'd be like, oh, you like that, like pity yourself. Like, oh, why is it always me got to deal with this or that? And then I started like when I really shifted my mindset and talking to like, and this is again going into talking to certain types of people. Like when you start elevating your circle and talking to certain types of people, you start realizing like, well, let me not limit myself to just this way of thinking. Like it's always a better situation that could come from this, or it's a better way to look at things. So like now, more times than not, I'm a glass half full type of guy. Like I hate going to work every day, but it's like, okay, this is giving me the money to go do all the other stuff I want to do, so I can step away from that soon enough. So for me, that kind of is just like when you start shifting how you think, and then just be willing to learn, no matter who it is. That's another thing people don't understand. They look down on certain people just because they got certain titles. And not realizing, like, even me, I tell people all the time, like, I be talking to my boys back home, and I'm just like, bro, like, I'm in management, but I got like employees that got their own side hustle, their own businesses outside of this. That's bringing in, 5+ figures, almost enough to match what they make here. I don't know why they still come here, but they do. But it's like
Right.
people don't. If I had a closed mind where I was like, nah, I'm better than them because I'm their boss. Like you never know that. Like I done
What?
talked to people that got like they got businesses all over Dallas. People that do like
Hmm.
cleaning businesses, all type of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't why. Like some people just want to, they like to go to work. I mean,
Bro,
that's cool,
I
but
used to have a janitor client, right? And he ended up moving on me. And let me tell you how he moved. Dude was cool people, and I know I only saw him once a month. And he wouldn't get his hair cut with me. Typically people come every 2 weeks, but he would say, "Man, like, I got to save up to kind of come to you, man. I'm kind of in between, work right now, so I'm working as a janitor." And I was like, "Bro, don't listen, bro. Like, trust me, it ain't even about the money for me. Like, your vibe is real dope. You know what I'm saying? I just appreciate you, one saving up enough to where you feel like you want to come to me and you holding me in that regard, right?" I could have easily written him off as, he just a janitor, bro. He likes the minimum because he was getting a real easy cut. Bro, he was a janitor, but he was going to school at night, you know what I'm saying? For some type of tech situation or something like that, right? I don't know what he does. I really don't know. But all I know is he ended up getting a job, bro, working for Amazon, bro. He came in, this is like in 2018, 2017, 2018. He came in, he was like, "Man, bro, I got this job, bro. I got my job." And I was like, "Oh, you got a promotion, at the janitor joint?" He was like, "Nah, I was going to school and, um, you know, and I was like, "Bro, I didn't know you was going to school, bro. You never, even if you did tell me, I probably dropped the ball and didn't listen hard enough." You know what I mean? But he was like, "Yeah, man." And man, I graduated, I got my job, and bro, making 200 some thousand dollars a year, bro. Now working for Amazon, like it's some computer scientist or something like that, right? And I was like, "Man, that's beautiful, bro." He ended up moving to Washington State. You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Bro, that's beautiful." He was like, "Man, thank you so much." He was like, "Bro, what's your cash app?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro. My cash app, bro." Yeah. He was like, "Say no more, bro." He was like, "Man, it's good knowing you, man. Nice to see you, man. And I will be in contact." Bro, he sent me $1,000 for his haircut. You know what I'm saying?
damn.
Just that last time. That last time he sent me $1,000, and I was like, and we still have an interaction. You know what I'm saying? Like, "How you been, man? I see what you're doing with your son, and I see him on. I see what you're doing with that, bro." And it's like, had I treated him like a janitor, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Had I treated him like something that's less than my client who works for Halliburton or my client who owns his own construction business, but I treated the janitor just like I treated the CEO. You know?
And that might be like the most underrated thing people don't get, like period, like maneuvering in life, bro. They treat like I treat everybody like they somebody, man. Because
Mm-hmm.
I had that understanding, like because people might look at me and you and be like, "Oh, they ain't got nothing going on," not knowing. And
Yeah.
when I learned, like just from talking to people all the time, it was just like anybody could be doing all type of stuff and you'll never know. Like I don't
You'll
talk
never
about a
know.
lot of my stuff. I do it now because I got social media and that's what they tell me to do. All the people I tell, they're like, "Oh, you got to get more active on there." I was like, "All right, cool. I'll post some stuff. Maybe it'll
Mm-hmm.
spark somebody." And I mean, yeah, you get 1,000 questions and I'm starting
Yeah.
to see, like, I don't even think I want the crazy follower low key when I start to think about it. I get enough right now with like a small little taste. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. But it's
Yeah.
like people gotta understand networking might be it's more valuable. Your network is more valuable than any amount of money, bro. Because no matter what, as long as as long as you got connections, man, you're gonna be able to get your hands plugged into some type of bread, some type of way, and not just wealth like that. It's just you got to travel people, man. They can put you on any situation, not only
Yeah.
financially, but they can put you on what you don't know or anything. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing I've got from being able to just like I don't like to talk to people, but I can, and I don't
Yeah.
mind talking to people to see what they got going on. And truly, like that's all you gotta do. Like just ask somebody what they got going on, what they do, because most
Mm-hmm.
times, more times than not, people love to talk about themselves. Like even people that
Yeah.
tell you they don't like to, they
They
love to talk about
love talking
themselves.
about
So if you just
themselves.
ask a question and just
You
let
never
them
know where it's
go,
gonna lead.
exactly. So and
Yeah.
I'll listen to somebody, just off of that strength, and
Yeah.
then they get comfortable with you. You never know, a friendship might form, business
Yeah.
relationship might form. Like
Yeah.
I met Armand through my real estate mentor Lawrence because I moved out to
Mm-hmm.
Dallas and he had been hyping him up. So I'm like, well, let me go see what it's about. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
rocking ever since. So that's
Bro,
just
I'm
like,
appreciative
and
of
it
that. Yeah.
And matter of fact, speaking, I gotta set up my appointment. I'm looking rough, and God,
Let me know if you can't find something that works for you, bro. I got you.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look after this. But yeah,
Yeah,
I just like that's just what I want people to understand, man. Like, if you don't get nothing from this, for one, don't be afraid. If you're gonna bet on something, bet on yourself. For one,
hmm
don't be afraid to
hmm
put some money up. Like, nah, he didn't go take the course like we always talk about. That's what I do. I go take courses, go run the
yeah,
play, make money. You
yeah.
went, got a mentorship, ran the play, making bread, got a business.
And this is
Man,
before this is before all of that stuff was really popular. You know what I'm
yep.
saying? Like people weren't really exploiting their knowledge online like they doing now. So this is pre uh uh information Instagram boom.
Oh yeah, because like I remember back in the day, I go look at somebody's stuff and I got scammed a couple times. And this is what it
Yeah,
is. Because if you find that one that make you bread, you can print money, dog. So it's just
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the
And
way.
it's a different type of person, man, that's willing to go spend thousands of dollars on some knowledge. You're just different. Like and it's like you're intentional when you do that. Especially as a
Hmm.
man. You know what I'm saying? Men real like people think that men are like real free with their money. Well, it's not necessarily that. It's that, we have the responsibility of provision. But a man is really conscious about his money when he comes to his income. He's conscious about his money based on his expenses too. So it's like, yo, if I'm gonna spend
Yep.
this, I need to see a return on this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And bruh, bet on yourself. Bet
Yep.
on
Bet on
yourself.
yourself. And when you do that though, you gotta take some type of action or go like what you paying
Yes.
money for if you ain't gonna go act on it. Like I'll at least
It,
try it. Like it may not work, but try it.
yeah, I'm gonna try it. Yeah, yeah. That's the key thing that the Todd Bernard gentleman said. He was like, listen, I can teach you all this, and if you go back home and you don't implement none of it, you've wasted your money with me, and I'm not giving it back. Him saying that let me know it was like, oh, it's on me. I still got to do the work. You know what I mean? I still got to do, and I still have access to him to where I can pull information from him and stuff like that. But it's just like I didn't, bruh. I'm not calling you no more. You gave me what I needed to do. Let me go do it. And if I fail along the way, I can still ask you if I did it right, bro. I've been rolling ever since. You know what I mean? I've
And
been
that's
rolling
just
ever since.
at the end of the day, that's what it is, man. Just don't be afraid to bet yourself, man, and network, man. And at the end of the day, if you have something in your life that you seen that you ain't like the situation, whether it be your parents, whatever, if you even if you just at a point in your life where you ain't got something going that you want a different situation, you can always change that. Be open to
Yeah.
change, man. Be open to doing something different and not wanting the same thing that was always there for you. Because a lot of times we get caught up in that cycle where it's just like we just get complacent. It's like, okay, well, they did this. That's all they could do. I'm doing a little bit better. Cool. Forget it.
hmm
Like if that's how you was, like even in myself, like if I was like that, I'd just be like, I'm done with it. Like I'm doing better than anybody pretty much in my family that never did. But like that ain't enough because in my mind, well, my family still ain't got it yet. So I'm trying to put them on. Now I'm worried
hmm
about who coming after me, my kids and they kids, and so I want some trust fund babies, man. I don't
Trust
care.
fund,
People can hate on
baby.
that. Like that shit cool to me. Like I want some black trust fund kids. I want to have kids and they be good. They set for life. Ain't got to worry about nothing. And they kids
No.
ain't got to worry about nothing. Like if that ain't the kind of flex you trying to be on, honestly, I can't talk to you. And that's
Yeah.
why I only have certain people I mess with heavy, and we all think alike, and that's
Yeah.
the beauty
Yeah.
of it.
That's what's up,
So
bro. That's what's up.
first off, bro, I appreciate you, bro, for coming on, man. Appreciate you
No
for
doubt.
chopping it up with me, giving the game. I do this
Yeah.
one last segment, talk to the culture segment. I'm gonna run off 5 questions, and we're gonna get up out of here, bro.
Say
So the
less.
first question is, what does wealth look like to you?
Wealth looks like to me freedom. You know what I'm saying? I know that may sound cliche, but money is nothing more than a tool to just be able to do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? It provides you that freedom to, uh, and that's interesting. My bad. I'm sorry because wealth ain't just about money. So it's like, dang, that's a good question, bro. That is a good question, bro. Ah, okay. and this might be the first on your show. I don't know what wealth looks like to me, bro. I don't know. It's still being written. It's still
I'll
being
take that.
written.
I ain't never had nobody say that one. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what wealth looks like to me, bro. It's still being written. So, yeah, I have to answer that later.
I always ask people since we do primarily talk to the Black audience, what is one thing you think the Black community needs to improve on?
Balancing accountability with empathy. I think that the Black community can definitely improve on balancing accountability with empathy. Like we kind of show too much empathy to one side, just, you know, blaming a lot of things on our situations, and then we lack accountability in regards to our uprising of that situation. Or we'll show and say that a person needs to be way more accountable than what they need to be, and not really show empathy as to why they got to where they got to. Does that make sense?
Bro, that was a bar because you just talked to me low key. I gotta work on I gotta really work on that. That's the one right there. Y'all
Yeah.
get nothing else from that. That one right there, man.
Yeah.
What's next? I like to ask everybody this. What's next for you, bro?
Yeah. What's next for me? Definitely going to do something bigger within the barbering industry. And it might not be directly just cutting hair or opening up a shop. It's most likely going to be putting on an event for just all of our clients. So me and Demetrius, we have like a really decent group of clientele just from both of us. And we want to put on like a really, really nice networking event to where a man like yourself and a gentleman like his client, a guy named Marcus, y'all could sit in a room and y'all have this commonality of a haircut, but you'll explore all the things that you guys can do together to grow when it comes to health, wealth, fitness, mentality, all of that stuff. And the connecting part of that is just me and Demetrius. That's just y'all barber. And so that event is definitely something that's going to take place within, if not towards the end of this year, definitely first quarter next year for sure.
Oh yeah, let me know about that so I can pull up.
And, yeah, you're there. You're there.
Also, a book recommendation. I get this from everybody. I can't be no Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Nope.
That book, nobody can say that. I need a book recommendation though.
Chop Wood, Carry Water.
What's that about?
Joshua Metcalf.
Okay. Brief. What is that about?
Chop Wood, Carry Water is a book about it's I wouldn't call it a parable. It's about this guy who wants to become this samurai warrior. And to become this samurai warrior, it takes 10 years to do it. And you got to go and you got to live amongst these warriors as a monk. And, he has this mentor who's walking with him along the way. And he was like, yo, this is what it takes. It takes what it takes. And if you're for it, this is what you have to do. And the premise is chop wood, carry water. So you need to chop wood daily and you need to carry water back up to the village to where we can eat, to have fire, and we can drink every day. But through chopping wood and carrying water, you learn so many life lessons for 10 years that's going to benefit you becoming this samurai warrior type of person. Okay. And you listen and you read the book. I would say listen to the book because it's read really well on Audible. But if you read it, if you're the type of person that need a physical copy, then you can read it yourself. But it's been the book that I've been practicing since I read it, if that makes sense. I get it
because that consistency is key. So I definitely get that.
Yeah, it puts consistency in a mind frame. So it's good. It's a good book. It may sound cheesy. It's the best book I've ever read.
Okay, for sure. And also, last question. How can people find you, man? How can they get in contact with you? Where they can find you at social media, all of that?
Instagram at Armand Banks, ARMAND BANKS, one line. That's pretty much what I be on. I don't have Twitter. If you want to find me on Facebook, I really don't be on that just because the only time I'll get on there is to check up on old aunties and stuff. But Instagram at Armand Banks, I'm always on there posting. And that's the crazy thing, bro. Like you wouldn't even see nothing on there with me about being a barber anymore. It's really all about, my interactions with my son and my wife now. So, and it's not for to create like a family social media page or a YouTube page. I'm not doing it because of that. I'm really doing it just so in case something ever happens to me, my son has a point of reference to know, like, yo, I had that. That's really what it is.
What's up? And we'll
Yeah.
have all that in the show notes. If y'all in Dallas, go book an appointment, man.
Yeah,
Keep me
man.
fresh. I definitely
Yeah.
about to go book one right after this. So,
Let's get it.
like we always say, man, first of all, I just want to thank you again, my brother. Appreciate you coming on, chopping it up with me,
Thank
man,
you. Thank
on a
you.
Saturday morning. And like we always say, man, we're good at success. Everybody around here is still struggling. So each one reach one, each one teach one, man. And, this is another episode of What for the Culture, and we are out.